nasty YouTubes is no topic this time, so we goes random with it.
Hello, VC. Well, not a lot been going on lately. I've been kind of busy in life, so I haven't done very much with the channel lately. So I figured I would just check in and say hi. Do have some new acquisitions, including a couple of CDs, a couple of LPs. Figured I would share those today. A couple of them come with a pretty unique and exciting announcement that I'm kind of happy about. A good distance in advance, but just will let people know about something that's coming up in a year or so. Been in kind of a psychedelic mood, so I've done some pulls from my collection. Got Clear Light Symphony on here. Nice pink copy on the Virgin label. It's a reissue, of course. In fact, all the stuff that I got pulled at the moment is reissue. I've got Queen the Game in the mix, because I'm in the mood for some Queen, and it's just such a great album. Neat little picture disc here, Roaring Silence. Great Manfred Mann album. And a couple of Italian pieces, Illuminogeni Scolopendra and Laser. So those are on my to listen list, along with I've been in the mood for film music again, so I've got my City of the Living Dead, Fabio Frizzi, Maestro, and Ghostbusters. This is the symphonic score, and song score, Curtis Mayfield songs from Superfly pulled. And oh yes, Crimes of the Black Cat, I believe that is. Setticelli, whatever, 7... It's not Seven Dead in the Cat's Eye, but it's one of those gialli, and I don't know why I'm drawing a blank on it at the moment. Have a couple of thrift store CD finds. What I have here is a mix of thrifting at a thrift store and at a public library. Most I paid for any of these was 50 cents, least was a quarter. Most of them were a quarter. Got Rage Against the Machine, self-titled. That's such an awesome album. And neat little Led Zeppelin live disc here, double disc. Prong, which the cover is disgusting, so I figured, you know what, I'll give it a try. You know, I really honestly do not know a lot about this band. I'm sure I've heard some of their songs on the air. I know they were popular, but I will find out. More of an excited grab for me. Got Dead Man's Chest soundtrack by Hans Zimmer, and also Zimmer, World's End. This one's a nifty little digipack. This one was a Best Buy exclusive, I think, so it's got some bonus tracks on it. And The Men in Black. This one's just the songs, but there's a couple of Danny Elfman's pieces on it, so to get the Will Smith track and the Danny Elfman tracks, yeah. Quarter? Heck yeah. Alright. Generic Phillips disc of Gregorian chants. And a couple of my favorite pieces here. Mussorgsky's Pictures at an Exhibition and Tchaikovsky's First Piano Concerto. Toscanini and Horowitz. So that's a win-win-win. Michael Crawford, sort of a best of, performing Andrew Lloyd Webber. So that was worth it. I have 2 LPs of this. I have a regular and I have a picture disc, but it's kind of cool to have a CD, you know, especially for a quarter. And this is just some Gershwin stuff. This one actually was from a neighbor. I think the next 2 were from a neighbor. This one, and yeah, this Santana. And I got a stack of other discs from him too. One of the nicest neighbors in the world. And Tony just came over one day and handed me he sent his son over to hand me a box of nice CDs, and there was some really cool stuff in there. Alright, so a while back I did the one video that was on the junked 78s, and I went back and saw same fella again a couple more times, and he was liquidating a big chunk of a collection, so he let me have a bunch of things that I was able to dig through, and most of it was like 50 cents a pop. Just adventures in digging and finding interesting, cool stuff. Nothing of real value there. Some neat hits kind of stuff. Like I got some Bill Haley, a couple of Bill Haley and his Comets, and I found some colored wax stuff that I showed in the last video. And I got a couple of Vogue picture discs from him that were, one of them is the most common, the others were sort of common. The other one was sort of common, and neither was in really great shape. Now, by the time it was over with, I wound up with two nice, kind of hefty bins, milk crates. I had to go to Walmart and buy some milk crates, so I got bigger ones. They're elongated, so they hold about twice as much as the initial milk crate that came in, and they're just loaded, even though I threw a bunch of stuff away. The fun in these things has been in kind of being a little bit of a history buff and checking them out. Like this thing right here was the last one that I loaded into Discogs, because honestly, when you go back pre-war into the 1910s, you wind up finding a ton of stuff that Discogs doesn't have, because Discogs is not a discography, but the more that we contribute to it, the closer it is to becoming that. So I try to contribute whenever I run into something new. This one right here, what I found interesting was that it just says vocal quartet, male vocals. And so I did a little bit of research on it because I was trying to figure out why they would do that. And I found out that Lakeside was an exclusive label of the Montgomery Ward Company. And this was data that was on Discogs. So from about, I think it's in 1912 to 1917, all of their product was under exclusive license from Columbia. So I just looked up the song, the Old Oaken Bucket, and from there went over to Columbia and saw it till I found copy, and I found out why it was that it was not labeled, because it was labeled as being performed by a male quartet that not only was on the Columbia label, but had a name kind of like the Stellar Columbia Quartet or something like that. That's not exactly right, but I found it, and basically Columbia was in the name, so that would have created a conflict with their trying to appear exclusive with the label. So that kind of thing is just sort of interesting. Also, it's kind of fun to do research and kind of dig and be a little bit of an archaeologist on these things. I don't know why. It's rather like solving a big puzzle. So now I'm working on finding answers to the question, why is it that there are multiple takes on some of this stuff and they can be differentiated in Discogs, but I don't get details in Discogs as to how they're being differentiated, which version of the take is in there, particularly on Victor pressings that were one-siders. So maybe somebody will reach out to me and give me a tip on how that works down the road. Okay, and I'd said I had a pretty good stack of other 78 picture discs to share. They're not anything really special. These things are a dime a dozen, but I went ahead and grabbed as many as I could find. These things were made in the late 40s, early 50s. At that time, there were tons of these things made, and on a variety of different labels. At least 5 or 6 labels are out there that I'm aware of. I think I've got at least 3 different labels in this bunch. But this one was not on Discogs. I added it myself. It's one of those situations of just nobody had submitted it yet. And some of them are really cute, some of them are really beautiful, and some of them are really generic and just look like really bad cast-off crayon drawings. You know, so far these aren't bad. There's a Lazy Mary one in here that I know is particularly terrible. They're just really cute things, and sometimes the sound production on them is actually pretty good, because I played a couple of these. Might actually play one before the video is over. If anybody wants to hear it, I'll put it on the Crosley. Yeah, here's look at that terrible drawing. Yeah, that's the one. But again, it's like some of them, that's actually not bad. That's a pretty little record, Most of them are cardboard sandwiched, kind of like just a lamination, like a two-sided postcard record or cereal box record almost. A couple of them, like this one, have a clear edge, but that edge is often chipped, even if it's just chipped away on one side. They're very delicate. The material that they were made from is very brittle, and it seems like when I look online at the ones that were made that way, that's a common issue with them. I think that one's just really cute. Oh, grab two at once. So I mean, they're not something that you're going to sit around and listen to, and a lot of people probably are not really interested because the artwork's not that spectacular and the recordings are not that special in collecting them. But for 50 cents a piece, buck a piece at the most on different things, if you run into them at a yard sale or something, yeah, it's a neat thing to have. So I mean, I wouldn't hesitate to grab a couple more if I keep seeing them around, because they're just interesting. Okay, so pardon the speedy ramblings of a madman. I'm just trying to do things quickly and quietly without waking up the little one. There we go.
Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty Dumpty together again.
Excuse me, but do you think it's safe for you to be sitting way up there on top of that high wall like that?
Never mind, little girl. Humpty Dumpty can sit anywhere he wants to.
Yes, but you're only an egg, not a man. Why, a wind might come along and blow you right off.
I'd like to see any old wind come and blow me. Help! Help! I'm falling! Somebody please get me!
Poor Humpty Dumpty.
Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty Dumpty together again.
And I know why they couldn't put Humpty Dumpty together again. 'Cause he's an egg and he's smashed.
Let's sing about Little King Bargain.
Little King Bargain, he built a fine hall. High and pastries, 'cause that was the wall. The windows were made of black pudding and white, and slated with pancake juice, there's all the light.
So there you have it. And this one is from Play Song Record Company. Okay, so again, this time keeping it really brief, so I'm going to be wrapping up in just the next couple of minutes here. Everybody knows that I have a pretty intense passion for all things grindhouse movies, including soundtracks for such. If you're familiar with the films of Don Dohler, he worked out of the same area of Maryland that John Waters did. His films were science fiction oddities with primitive but sometimes surprisingly decent special effects, made on shoestring budgets, and he did a number of pictures that were interesting in the early 1970s. Well, a label called Mystic Vault has released two of his soundtracks, so I'm going to show those to you here. Really beautiful editions. Fiend, which is a surprising little supernatural one. These are really nice editions. A lot of work has gone into them. There's a glossy gatefold sleeve, beautiful inner sleeve artwork, really nice illustrated inner sleeves. This one has intense liner notes on the composer, who was interviewed at length for it, and storyboard art from the film. And it's on a deep, deep red and black, kind of marbled vinyl. Really, really beautiful records. Full 180 gram weight. They run really quiet. They're very fine quality pressings. I'm very impressed with them. And I know flipping through that quickly, fans got a eyeful already that know what's up of the Alien Factor, a much more widely recognized picture, I think, with its stop-motion beastie here on the cover, and one of the revealed aliens on the back of it. Has Dolar's Cinemagic Visual Effects logo in the gatefold, which I think is just absolutely awesome. I love that. Again, a heavy stock inner sleeve, fully illustrated. This one just has some great stills. And this one's on a rather icky green and black swirl. Still pretty fascinating looking disc. And again, 180 gram weight. Restored from the original master tapes. They went through a baking process on this stuff and everything to preserve and restore it. They're doing great work. Mystic Vault Records. Down the road, Mystic Vault plans to release, I think they already have released Bloodsucking Freaks and Tenement. I know they're going to be doing Wicked Games and a couple of other things. This is where the special announcement comes in. About a year from now, I did a score back in 95, I think it was, for a Tim Ritter film. Tim Ritter did Wicked Games, of course, previously mentioned film. He's most famous for Truth or Dare, which has several sequels about the Copper Mask Killer, not the new one that has to do with supernatural effects of the game, but a serial killer one that was released direct-to-video in the 80s. It's a pretty notorious little movie. He did a movie called Creep in South Florida with a kind of an infamous character named Kathy Willits at the time, and one of his regulars, Joel Winecoop, who's kind of a staple in that sort of subgenre. And I scored this little picture, which I'll probably need to flip the video on that, showing it to me backwards. Here we have Joel and Kathy on the front. This atrocity of sorts, you know, it's very Jess Franco level in its lewdness and gore. Is a lot of fun, and it's established a bit of a cult following over the years. So Mystic Vault has teamed up to restore the tapes from Master Source on all of the incidental tracks, and those will be released on an LP in a gatefold sleeve, gloss cover, illustrated inner sleeve, same kind of deal, multicolor vinyl. Sometime probably about a year from this video, which currently it's August, so maybe, you know, sometime in 2024. Anyway, that's it for Weird Spins. Again, just keeping this one short, kind of thrown together. It's a whole bunch of random nonsense, but hopefully you had some fun with it, and I'll see you real soon.